project is a symbol of hope. Police uncover plans to unleash mayhem in Kano. And later on the show, tribunal upholds electoral victory of Kogi Governor Usman Ododo as Bayelsa Governor Duyediri also wins. I'll be hanging out with Gani Kayode Balogun and Paul Dada. Journalist Hangout starts now. Well, a good leader is defined as one who leaves not just landmarks but long-lasting legacies on the sands of time. President Bola Tinubu has demonstrated the true powers of visionary leadership with the launch of the construction of the 700-kilometer Lagos-Calabar coastal highway. President Tinubu, who described the landmark project as a symbol of hope, said it will create direct and indirect jobs, boost business opportunities, and pave the way for community development. The president was in Lagos to inaugurate projects as part of activities to mark the first anniversary of his administration. Let's share the story by our correspondent, Sarah Ayeku and Adedoja Salam Adeniyi.
It's another homecoming for President Bola Tinubu as he arrives Section 1, Phase 1 of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, in company of state governors, members of the National Assembly, APC party leaders, and traditional rulers. Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital, is hosting these dignitaries to flag off the ambitious 700-kilometer superhighway, a 10-lane road project that represents President Tinubu's commitment to facilitate economic growth and improve the living standard of Nigerians.
May 29, 2023, we have over 40 new projects ongoing throughout the 6 geopolitical zones. Today we have selected some of the roads and bridges to represent the race of the new projects for Mr. President to flag off. We are not just starting from one point, we are starting this section 1 in about 4 locations. At the end of the project, we are about starting concreting. So the target is to finish this section 1, not in 36 months, but in 24 months. So that, Mr. President, you will commission this first section of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway within the next 2nd year in office, and we shall toll it and we begin to recover, do return on investment.
But the beauty of this is not only in Lagos, because this road goes and transverses Ogun State, goes into Ondo State, before it finally do a bus stop at Cross River State. Mr. President, you deserve a big round of applause. This is not about you. This is not about your renewed hope. This is about the generational change that you are doing.
For a man who conceived the idea of a coastal highway as a governor, achieving it as a president surely gives him bragging rights.
To me, today is my day to brag. It's my bragging day. Don't be afraid. We will do this road. 700 kilometers. It will be a success for Nigeria, and we'll do more of this.
As part of the Renewed Hope agenda, the president flagged off the 700-kilometer Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, 1,000-kilometer Sokoto-Badagry Highway, a design and procurement of 461-kilometer Africa Trans-Sahara route, and the reconstruction and rehabilitation of 330 roads across the 6 geopolitical zones.
This is a major transformation for Nigeria. We're going to see economic transformation, prosperity is unprecedented. We are going to see the development of industries like the steel industry, even the cement industry will pick up. Construction is one of the major drivers for job creation and for economic prosperity.
This is a historic project for Nigeria. It's not a project for one man or one person. That is why I want all of Nigeria to embrace this project. It's not a project for APC, it's not a project for Bola Tinubu. We should own this project, and if we own it, the possibilities are incredible.
The president is expected to return to Abuja on Tuesday for another round of commissioning. This time around, another minister in his cabinet will be showing off projects completed in less than a year. Sarah Ayeku, TVC News, Lagos. President Bola Tinubu, represented by the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, was joined by the federal and state government top officials.
This for me is a great feat by any standard. Nothing to add than to say yes, this is just the beginning of the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President.
The 36-kilometer by 10 lanes paved road, which began under the Muhammadu Buhari administration and completed by President Tinubu, was financed by the Dangote Group using tax credits. The road is expected to bring relief to port users and operators who had suffered great losses as a result of the bad roads and traffic problems in the area.
We have two ports that it's responsible for about 80% of our cargo in this country, the Apapa port and the Tinkan port. Therefore, taking off loads that go all the way to the east, to the Middle East, to the north, that road needs to be well fixed.
The Apapa-Orun-Sheki Road will be a catalyst for economic development, creating employment opportunities during and after construction. It has also permitted accumulation of experience in building concrete roads across Nigeria.
Mr. President also inaugurated virtually the rehabilitated Third Mainland Bridge.
I'm happy to announce that Mr. President, as the chairman of EGBANT, nationwide, any form of excavation of sand or mining of sand, 10 kilometers downstream of any bridge and the upstream of any bridge. So if you are going to excavate for any sand, it has to be 10 kilometers away. We're also working in Murtala Mohammed Bridge and a couple of other bridges.
The Third Mainland Bridge has high vehicular traffic as many residents commute to and from the Lagos mainland to the island, which is the commercial hub of Lagos State. Motorists have been warned to maintain the speed limit of 80 kilometers per hour on the bridge.
Third Mainland Bridge measures 11.8 kilometers in length, has undergone rounds of repairs and replacement of bearings and worn-out expansion joints. But this is the first time this bridge will be witnessing a comprehensive repairs and complete asphalt resurfacing since its construction 34 years ago. Adedoja Salamadini, TVC News, Lagos.
Those are reports by our correspondents, Adedoja Salamadini and Sarah Ayeku. GKB, let me come to you on this. So much, to hope for from these landmark projects that has been commissioned by President Bola Tinubu. We're talking about direct and indirect job opportunities, boosting of tourism opportunities, and so much more. But what are your thoughts on these projects undertaken by this current administration?
Two things, really. We are long overdue for infrastructural renewal. The last time we have such a massive input into infrastructure was during the 75-79 period. The first coming of Olusegun Obasanjo and Murtala Mohammed. That was the last time we really had this much input. That was when the Lagos-Ibadan, Shagamu, Benin, even the old, what they now mentioned, Adagri, Sokoto, all these were built around that period. And most of them were built basically to move goods and services from our ports up north or to the east, as the case may be. So this is long overdue. We've not done massive infrastructure renewal at this magnitude for a long time. We've done some. We've done repairs, we've done redesign. Because what it's doing now, for anybody who is a consultant, development consultant, will tell you that ultimately the Lagos-Calabar, Lagos-Sokoto will probably lead to the Trans-Sahara Highway that will go from Sokoto down to Maiduguri and then maybe come down to Sokoto again. And don't forget that the minister also promised the star attraction of this administration, the Lagos-Abuja Highway, which he said is going to cut the traffic by 5 hours. That's what he said. You know the Nigerian factor. But that's about. I tend to be optimistic that if they can deliver all of it, and if they can, that's why I'm very happy when they broke down into segments the Lagos-Calabar road. So at any given time, instead of waiting 13 years, 14 years for the entire road to be completed, maybe you can have the Lagos-Ondo axis ready. We have the maybe Port Harcourt-Calabar axis ready. And then we have that in portions. So by the end of the day, in 2 years, people can move to the road, maybe divert on some access and come back to the road, another place. At least these things will be usable by the end of the president's first term. That to me is key. That they've done the Lagos, the Apapa Oshodi Express Road.
Wow.
That one to me is fantastic.
You fly that way regularly.
Yeah, not only that.
You've encountered some.
I have fond memories of, because most people didn't realize this, that at a point there was the road coming from Ladipo crosses to Oshodi before the express. So the express itself was basically to break roads. And so for me, that is fundamental. All over the world, people are moving on now to concrete roads. They're now using cement. For even India right now, just finished their own 700 kilometers road. It started in 2018. So people are moving to roads that will last. That will last 50 years, 40 years. 2 days ago, there are portions of the Shagamu-Benin Road that are extremely bad. The portion from Shagamu, interchange, all the way to Djibouti. After they've done this, they'll look into those axes as well. But to me, the renewal is fundamental to the growth of our coastal communities and to those on the Western Corridor.
Paul, in as much as this is a good initiative, because it's going to open doors for a lot of communities along the axis, we're talking about those who had to lose their properties on the side because of these, infrastructural developments. But if you to look at it, side by side, do you think perhaps there should have been a little bit of consideration, although they were compensated, or do you think perhaps maybe the government could have done something a little more different?
Well, normally when there is going to be a major development, some people have got to make sacrifices. If you are going to open up a road, a major road like that, it is not strange that you find structures give way. And in fact, if I remember well, I think the minister said that even though some of the people that would be compensated do not really have approved, approved structures, the government will still wear a human face, and still compensate them. I think it's a good thing. I haven't heard anyone complain yet that they have not been duly compensated or they will not be compensated. So there's nothing strange or there's nothing, it's not out of place that those structures have to go. Structures have to go for the project. But let me at this point also appeal to Nigerians that are very skeptical, about the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. Now, I understand that it is in the nature of Nigerians to be very, very skeptical about their leaders. And you don't blame them. Absolutely. Because of years of gross ineptitude by government. He just said something about the fact that we've not had this massive building of infrastructure since the 70s. So Nigerians are passing through bad roads, So, but then let us give this government the benefit of the doubt. Now, when I look at there are so many roads to talk about, but let me focus on this Lagos-Calabar road. When I look at the potential, the tourism potential, the improved transportation, the job creation. Anytime there's construction alone creates job massively for people. You understand? When I look at all of those, when I look at the fact that it is going to at least affect at least 30 million people positively. Now, I don't think it's something that we just have to say, no, we don't need it. I've heard people say, this is not what we need now. So, if we don't need it, when do we need it? During the time of my grandchildren? When do we need it? Development continues. There will always be room, even after we are dead and gone, there will always be room for development. So if you say, not now, so when? When should we develop development? So mine is that let government see it through. Right. Let government see it through. Let them do it in phases. Look at the light rail project of Lagos State. Look at when it started. Look at where we are now. And there's still more, the journey still continues. So I think we should just give this government benefit of the doubt. It's a welcome development amid the news of the undulating movement of the Naira and all of that. It's a welcome development. I welcome it heartily.
Right. GKB, your final thoughts on this matter, even if there are some skeptics about this project, and the president said we should not be afraid. We should see that this project will see the end of this project. How convinced are you on this? And do you think there could be an evaluation process or monitoring process, as it were, to ensure that this project comes to the light of day?
In the days of social media, there always be monitoring. There are people who are not only skeptical, they've made it their life's mission to ensure they monitor this to the very last. When it comes to monitoring, I'm not afraid. A lot of people will come aboard, they will go there physically, they will spend time and resources to hold government accountable. The reason why I'm optimistic is this. They've broken the road into sections. So I'm not afraid. Because what I'm looking at is this. Like I said earlier, if those sections can be completed, they will already be useful for those using that particular access. Let's say from Port Harcourt to Calabar is ready in 2 years. Imagine the level of economic activities it will generate in that access. Imagine the one from Lagos, Ogundo, they were ready, let's say, in 3 years. Imagine what it will do. At least they are not pretending. They are going to wait until the entire 700 meters are completed. That to me is the joy. Because the problem with the black man is that we assume that we'll start something and it will be in a straight line. It doesn't always work like that. If they could keep to that, the segmentation of the road, I guarantee you, no matter what happens after this government is gone, majority of the road will have been delivered by the end of the first term.
Right, let's hope on that and hope for the best for our country. Well, let's quickly move on to our next issue of discussion, where after the verdict of party members, the outcome of the governorship primary election of the People's Democratic Party in Edo State has gotten a stamp of approval. A federal high court in Abuja has dismissed the suit filed by the impeached deputy governor of the state, Philip Shaibu, seeking to nullify the February 22 primaries of the PDP in the state. Justice James Omotosho, who reaffirmed the fundamental principles of legal precedence, in his judgment, emphasized that those who choose not to take part in an electoral process cannot seek to challenge its outcome. Justice Omotosho also described Shaibu's application as premature, stating that all internal mechanisms of conflict resolutions within the party weren't exhausted before coming to the courts. Paul, I don't understand. Are you having some thoughts that you want us to say?
No. I personally can't fault the judgment of the tribunal. Honestly, I sympathize with Philip Shaibu. He's a victim of a governor's high-handedness. We've talked about that so many times. I really sympathize with him. But the truth is, you cannot build something on
nothing and expect it to stand.
If the party has rules, has procedures that you must exhaust, and you did not exhaust it and you jump to the court, you don't expect the court to assist you. That's what the judge said. Apart from that, you know the story. As Shaibu said, some people, some true, whatever you call them, true delegates, went somewhere, voted him. That's his word. That's what he said. But as far as INEC is concerned, as far as the party is concerned, a valid primary election took place. The one that brought in Ighodalo. Now, the judge said, sufficient evidence had been placed before him that Ighodalo was validly elected. No, that's number one. I would have also said, Shaibu, just face the other suit, challenging your impeachment. But the truth of the matter is, when will the legal battle end? When is the election? The election is taking place, is it September 21, 2024? In the end, it's probably an academic exercise. Don't forget also that there could be an appeal up to the Supreme Court level. In the end, whoever emerges governor may have even spent 2 years before the whole thing is resolved. Even if the judge court now says, look, Mr. Shaibu, you were unjustly removed. It's not going to be placed back there. But anyway, it's good for him if he's going to just give him some what's it called? Closure. To be on record. To be on record. But I can't fault this judgment, honestly. But if Shaibu is not satisfied with it, he can still go and appeal. The law gives him the chance to appeal. But personally, I think that judgment, the judgment of the tribunal or the court was in order.
GKB, your thoughts on this issue, especially as it concerns, well, I say, the stand or the future of Shaibu's political career, more or less?
Well, Shaibu has boxed himself into a corner, which is unfortunate. Some people will say that karma is something that we cannot say on television. But having said that, he has every right to query the primaries. And Justice Omotosho has delivered. The last time the court installed a candidate was Rotimi Amechi in, I think, 1983 or so, or 87. And that's because the court was disobeyed. Since then, political parties have fortified themselves against things of this nature. So that's what the judge was saying, as relying on legal precedents. This has been done before by so many people, and the judgments are very clear. We've not exhausted the party
resolution mechanism.
And two, once INEC has agreed that primaries took place, the case is over. Everything else is done except for the shouting. So he has done what he has the right to do.
Right.
And to me, that is okay. Of course, he can continue with the Supreme Court with this. But you and I know all things being equal. What he said, he said. On the one about the deputy governor, basically to just ensure that he gets whatever is due to him. Once
yes.
Once you're impeached,
exactly.
You lose a lot of things.
Exactly. Yeah.
So maybe that's what he's looking for. Maybe a house in the country, a house in Africa. Maybe 2 cars every year. All the things that politicians get after pretending to serve us. Apart from that, this is a cut and dry case. I think it's over.
Wow, indeed, you say it is over. But Paul, if you were to look at this issue from your own perspective, what other options do you think Shaibu needs to explore? I know you mentioned him looking at his impeachment case. Do you think he has any chance, as it were?
No, it's impeachment. Well, it's for the judge the court to decide. But I think that Shaibu should start thinking of throwing his weight behind. I think I heard him say that he is considering leaving PDP. Well, I know him to be he holds a considerable level of influence, political influence in those states. Although some might argue that maybe his influence has dwindled a bit, So, but he still has following. He can
leverage
that, pull out his followers,
right.
Pick a tent to pitch. Pitch to the tent. Whoever a candidate or whatever he wants to do,
right.
And then maybe you can, as politicians do, they know how to negotiate all of that. He has that political option. But as for legal option, is for the court to decide. So I cannot preempt what the court would say on the matter.
All right. Well, GKB, final thoughts on this before we quickly go on break. With regards to the same question I asked Paul.
Well, don't forget that he decamped with Obaseki 4 years ago when they had issues with the party APC in Edo State. I don't think he has that kind of clout for him to make fundamental difference. Don't forget the APC has already told him that the party is not for orphans. That they are not an orphanage for people who have lost out. Well, he laid his bed. He has to lie on it. But again, in politics, never say never.
Right.
The thing is not over until the fat lady sings. Yeah. And the fat lady is not even on the stage yet.
All right, let's quickly go on a break. It's still on to Journalist Hangout. We'll have more discussions coming your way in just a moment. Just stay with us.
Business lives on the fast track of numbers. Business is a strange world where low numbers means something different. And its currency are speed and time. Finding the open doors of Main Street is not just good business, it's the start of the business. Join us every weekend on Business Week.
Now, the raging tussle over Kano Emirate is becoming a security concern, and the state government State Commissioner of Police, Mohammed Usaini Gumal, said the police have, apologies for that, just stay with me right now, need to go on this, have uncovered plots by miscreants to unleash mayhem on key locations in Kano, including the State House of Assembly. The police commissioner maintained that the State Police Command will not hesitate to enforce the law and maintain peace and stability across the state. Well, let's quickly get your perspectives on this, because the tension in Kano is far becoming too worrying, seeing that we have, will I say, two emirs in Kano, and this whole brouhaha, no one knows where it will end.
Yeah, no one knows where it will end, but it's very unfortunate that the traditional institution in our country has become a victim of the shenanigans of politicians. A lot of politicians have proved that they don't truly respect the traditional institution. I say this without necessarily supporting anyone, but I know that politics took out Emir Sanusi, and politics brought him back.
Yeah.
Politics also installed Emir Adobayero, and politics took him out. Some people are even saying that maybe by the time another government comes in, Sanusi might be on his way out. That said, let me say that I do not like the way the police has conducted itself in this matter.
How so?
Now, I'll tell you. Now, I can understand if the police commissioner says, look, there's a subsisting court order.
Right.
I can understand that. But that man didn't have to say it openly that he was not going to obey the order of the governor. He was not tactful. He was very tactless. He wasn't wise enough to just keep quiet and be seen as neutral. Fine. I am not saying that the police commissioner must necessarily carry out unlawful order if he deems it to be so. But again, looking at it from another perspective, the governor is the chief security officer of the state. If he feels that the security of the state is being threatened, he can give an order.
Right.
Right? So this is why some of us are saying that there is a need for state police. Because if there is genuine reason, genuine reason to fear insecurity, if you have a police commissioner who is under the control of the governor, you don't say no to the governor. The IGP cannot say no to the president or any of the service chiefs.
Right.
They can't say no. Now, I think that also there's also, on the other hand, there's also a concern that this has proved that state governors could use state police to further their whatever, to carry out their own sinister agenda. However, what I want to say is that this man should have been a little bit more tactful, should have been a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for now? Diplomatic. So, because people are looking at him as if he's tilting towards a particular camp or party in the crisis. So let the police just do its job of keeping that place secure. Also, I am going to lay a little blame on the deposed emir. Now, this is it. Without prejudice to what the court said, I mean, if indeed it was a valid court order, if indeed.
Only the court can decide.
Only the court can decide that. You approach the court that, look, an order has been given that has not been complied with. Court, save me. You go back to that same court. You don't hold court because you may be recognized by some people, but the government of the state does not recognize you. I am not saying that the governor was right, and I'm not saying that it was wrong. What I'm saying is that if you have been removed, there's a law removing you, but you claim that there's a court order. The order has not been complied with from your own perspective. What you do is that you go back to the same court. You don't start parading yourself as the emir, allowing crisis to fester in that state. Who gains? What do Kano people stand to gain? What does the emir stand to gain? And what does the emir stand to gain? Nobody gains anything. Right. In the end, these people, on whose behalf people are causing riots, will be shielded. Nothing will happen to them.
They are brothers.
But the people, if anybody is going to lose their life, it will be people on the streets. If anybody is going to lose their property, it's going to be the poor man. So what are we getting from the whole thing? So the police authorities must conduct themselves decorously and make sure that they contain any case of insecurity arising from the whole situation.
Well said, Paul. GKB, with his insightful contribution in this matter, would you say that the police is complicit, even though they are trying to, defend their actions? What do you make of what's happening in Kano?
As a traditional chief, I am always unhappy when politicians come into purely traditional things and turn it upside down. But having said that, I cannot, in good conscience, blame Emir or former Emir Nasir Ado-Bayero. He's about to lose his job. And nobody is happy to lose such a cozy job. It's a job for life. And you've made plans around that. Well, on a more serious note, I blame the governor. And I blame the police. And I blame whoever else is in control of keeping law and order in the state. Because no matter, we are all human beings. The moment the governor decided that Ado-Bayero is gone and then declared him wanted, they tried to rope in the National Security Advisor. I know something is going down. Because normally, if there has been a court injunction, go and vacate it. Now, Sanusi doesn't have to come to Kano. Once the judgment is given, let him be somewhere, not in the main palace. Go to the court and vacate it. Simple as ABC. But what you are saying is that the judge was not in Nigeria, the signature was faked. All these are perambulations. The only person who can vacate that injunction is the judge. If he's not in Nigeria, you wait until he comes. Or you can report him to NJC or go to an higher court that somebody is abusing the office. Yeah. So, in this very messy matter, nobody will come out clean. Nobody will come out smelling like roses. Neither the governor, neither Emir Nasir Ado-Bayero, neither Emir Sanusi. Because the thing looks to me as desperation on all parties. Because once the House of Assembly has given me the law and the governor has signed it, the former emir or the emir has the legitimate right to query that order in the court of law. It is because nobody will be put in that position and walk away willingly. Nobody. Don't let's fool ourselves. Nobody will walk away just like that. Don't believe all the nonsense that somebody say is the will of God. People fight to be emirs.
One of the emirs says the will of God. One of the post emirs says the will of God.
So that's his own position, actually.
So to me, nobody is right in this matter. Nobody is going to win. Because the moment the judgment is given for one party, you've created enemies or the other camp. So people in Kano have very, very, very long memories They don't forgive easily. Ask anybody. Ask Rimi. He's dead now, so you can ask him. Ask those who have moved against the transitional institution in Kano and what the end will be politically. The Kano people are very particular about the Emirates. But now it's been broken into 4. That means those emirs have also lost their jobs. That means the waziris, the babaganas, the galadimas, people who have lost their job right now, based on that, we run into hundreds. They too will have hangers on, also relying on the salary of the emir of Gaya or the emir of Rado, who will no longer exist if the state government should get its points right. So sometimes the medicine for headache is not to cut the head off. I think the governor should have applied wisdom, even after the state government has reinstated the emir. And then look at it, okay, we've created new Emirates. They're already functioning. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. The genie is already out. We must find a way to accommodate these new realities. It's like asking, you remember in Lagos State, when they created 57, and said they should go back to 20. It's not possible. Thousands of people have been employed to fill those things. They are also citizens of the state. People working for the other Emirates are also citizens of Kano. So that's what I said. I said, this is a battle nobody will win. If Sanusi should come back as emir, it will be a tainted emirship. Because those others will be looking at him as an usurper. That's why people are already looking at Nasura Dobairo as an usurper in the first place. But we all know as SLS became emir. We knew the person, the government, the people. This story could go back 3, 4, 5, 7 years.
So that's my problem. I'm actually particularly concerned about this, option that you highlighted that the governor should look at and explore. But if you're to break it down in a, perhaps, let's say reasonable, or what exactly are your proposals here now? Because already there is a case in Kano. So what would you propose as the government should do to resolve this tension?
Let's look at it this way. We have 2 scenarios. If they should return Nasir, everything will go back to status quo ante. So what I'm proposing will not change the fact that's already on ground. All the other Emirates will stay. But a chance that the judgment goes the way of Sanusi, it will not be on Sanusi himself as emir to find a way to do whatever he has to do to make sure that those things are already created, already serving people of Kano, are accommodated within the context of his emirship. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. It doesn't have to be a year. They could wait for the tension to go down. It will be 2 years. It will be on his 3rd anniversary of coming back. I say, okay, we're fine. And now sign it that we should create more Emirates. They'll come to Kano to get some. But again, in life, what was that Bob Marley song? I mean, it whispers. Somebody will win. Somebody's got to lose.
Can I just say something? I don't know if I still have the time.
All right, I don't understand that you've been calling Nasir Adud Bayero. It's actually Aminu Adu Bayero. Just to point that there, correction. Okay,
let me please say something.
Yeah.
First of all, let me say that the deputy governor has apologized to No Ribadu that he actually goofed for linking him to the attempt to foist Adu Bayero on the people. He actually said that he made a mistake, and we apologize. Secondly, he's talked about the fact that the state government should have gone to vacate let me be the devil's advocate here. You cannot go and vacate, you won't bother to go and vacate an order which you don't believe even exists. Because from his own perspective, the judge was in the US. So again, that has to be tested in court. That can a judge give an order, and the judge who is probably on course or was doing whatever. But for me, the way to resolve this issue is still through the court, because the deed has been done. The deed has been done. For example, this man, Sanusi, SLS, what the Kano Emirate was already divided into 5 before it was removed. You understand what I'm trying to say? It was an emir of only the Kano, I think 10 local government areas then, before it was deposed. So if the current governor wished, he could have just said, okay, let the other emirates remain, while Sanusi comes back to the one he was ruling.
But
He didn't do so. Again, politics at work. I think the court, please, should rescue us from politicians. Should rescue the people of Kano from the shenanigans of politicians. Kano is a very, very strategic city and state. And if there is crisis in Kano, serious crisis in Kano, it can boil over. I don't think these people are thinking about the common man. I don't think they are thinking about the people, the good people of Kano, the good people that have voted. They will come back and ask for their votes in the 2027. This is not how to run a state like that.
Right. Point taken there, gentlemen, for this position on this very crucial topic. Well, still on Journalists Hangout. In the matters of the court, a case is only as strong as its evidence. In confirmation of this legal maxim, the Kogi State Governorship Elections Petitions Tribunal sitting in Abuja has upheld the election of Usman Ududu of the All Progressives Congress, APC, as the governor of the state. The tribunal dismissed the petition of Murtala Ajaka of the Social Democratic Party for failure to substantially prove allegation of irregularities during the election as required by law. Also, the Bayelsa State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal, sitting in Abuja, has upheld the re-election of Governor Doye Diri, and a three-member panel led by Justice Adekunle Adeleye dismissed the petition of the candidate of the All Progressives Congress in November 11th election in the state, Dimitri Silva, for lack of merit. GKB, it's usually said, he who alleges must prove. And in this case, it went against Dimitri Silva in favor of Doye Diri. What do you make of the outcome of the judgment?
Well, once the miracle of the lion happened 4 years ago, because normally Bayelsa is PDP leaning. I don't want to say PDP states, the PDP leaning states. So the man has consolidated himself to get the evidence. It's very difficult. The one that really tinkled my fancy is the one in Kogi.
Right.
Because Ajaka thought with the level of PR that we had, we thought he had enough evidence that he thought he had to overturn the election. But he has 2 more steps to go. So anything can still happen.
2 more steps in this case, appeal to Supreme Court. So you are hopeful that he might...
No, that's not what
you can't hope for him now.
Okay, well, I understand. It doesn't have anything to do with you.
This is not the end of the road.
Right.
They still have 2 more steps to go. And then maybe, because you all know that we know cases where people have lost at the tribunal, at the appeal court, and they got relief at the Supreme Court, and vice versa. You know, people who had won at the tribunal and at the appeal court and lost Supreme Court. So I don't really put much emphasis on tribunal judgments because I know we still have a long way to go. But although at least he will sleep better tonight, fully well that there's one fish bone removed from his throat. And now these things he has done, apart from meeting with the NSA, as part of what he has.
Paul, you know, it still raises the question of elections being, will I say, validated in courts, because that is exactly what we see. When we see elections, okay, you have a grouse against elections, you take it to court so that you can have your victory cemented. But what do you make of the way, you know, how our cases, or rather how elections are conducted, but the victories are upheld in courts?
I have many things in my head to say about this thing. Let me try and organize my thoughts.
Right.
Let me just answer your question first, but you may permit me to say a few things after that. So it's very, very unfortunate that we wait for the courts to validate
election victories.
Sometimes the people that come to the court or tribunal have valid cases. Sometimes even a layman, an intelligent layman, may be able to see that this man has no case. But I think some politicians are incurable optimists. And their lawyers will not even advise them. Or even, I also actually heard a lawyer who said that even when we advise, they still go ahead and say, go and do it. Maybe sometimes to give the impression to their fans, to their supporters that, yes, they made spirited efforts to reclaim a mandate they never had. Now, why am I saying some of these things? Now, I cannot predict the outcome of all this whole thing in the higher courts, but a few things are in my head, like I said. Number one, in one of the cases, that's the one in Bayelsa, they brought additional proof of evidence after the initial petition had been filed. I thought any lawyer should understand. The Court of Appeal made a pronouncement on this in Peter Obi, is that Atiku versus Tinubu, Abi, the presidential election, that you cannot go and bring additional evidence after 21 days. Yeah. The Supreme Court upheld the same thing, and then lawyers are still doing the same at the tribunal level. I don't know whether these lawyers are doing this thing deliberately. I don't know whether it is ignorance. I don't know whether it is mischief. Until you get that law, it has become a law. Until you go and tinker with the Constitution or the Electoral Act, and you get whatever laws, allows for that. Until you do that, you cannot bringing the same argument to the lower court, because you will always lose. And sometimes judges who have not studied, or for whatever reason, maybe they are also ignorant of, some of them will even make pronouncements until the Court of Appeal will say, look, there's already a judicial precedent on this matter. Now, many people, even educated people, I'm so sorry, many of them are too emotional when it comes to legal issues. Many of them have not educated themselves enough to know how the legal process works. The tribunal will not go, or a court will not go and look for evidence for you. The court is not the police. The court is not bound by public opinion. 90% of the public might think one way. The court will only work based on procedures, evidence that you bring. Look at the case of certificate forgery that was dismissed by the tribunal against Ododo. Somebody came and said, the star witness that said it was not even in Kogi. You understand? He even claimed that what he saw, it had no picture of the governor, the affidavit there. Whereas court record showed, the one in the court record showed his picture. You see the inconsistency. The man, and that was a star witness. And then some people will say, for example, the tribunal dismissed that. And some people will just say, no, they have collected money. They have done this one. They have done that. Educated people behaving like illiterates. I don't understand. See, I don't need to like Ododo before I say the truth about him. I don't need to be your fan. Esther, look, I may not like you. If you are richer than I am, I don't have to deceive myself that I'm richer than you. What with my lies? How will my lies invalidate the truth? You understand what I'm trying to say? If I don't have money, I don't have money. You may be a bad person. You may be nasty. But it does not change the fact that you are richer than I am. So I cannot go and be carrying a placard. I'm richer than Esther, simply because I don't like you. I don't need to like Ododo. I don't need to like Doyodiri. But the truth of the matter is that these people, as far as I can see, from a layman's perspective, and from a journalist who has studied, by the way, I was a judiciary correspondent for many years before I became an editor. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is that I can see from a perspective that some of the pronouncements made by these judges are valid in the two cases. In the Kogi, it's not because I like, if you want me to analyze Ododo, if you want me to analyze him, his first year in office, I'm not going to say things that are very complimentary. I don't think he has performed. You understand? I think his government is a disaster. But however, it's
not up to a year.
Okay, it's true, it's not to a year. I'm sorry. I was thinking it's not to a year. In the few months he has been in the office. Okay, maybe I'll be able to assess him better when the next 1 year in the office. But for now, I don't think he's a star performer. I think he has underperformed. I think he's not even showing any promise. That's my honest opinion. You may disagree with it. Now, however, I have not, based on what I see so far, I do not think that Ajaka has any case. I think that the wise men of the tribunal have made sound decision. I also think in the case of Doyodiri, the tribunal also made sound decision. I think lawyers should stop deceiving politicians, or politicians should stop allowing themselves to be deceived by lawyers who just want to make money off them.
So is it the case of the lawyers profiteering from the ignorance of these politicians, or
not profiteering?
So what do you...
It's business. Carry means they are doing something illegal. To go to court is not illegal.
Right.
No matter what, we know people. I remember the one in the Bible about the baby and 2 mothers. Some people will go to the last breath to ensure that they get justice, whatever that means. But having said that, I think that our politicians should learn to take it in good faith. Not this circle. Because there's enough poison to go around everybody when it comes to people disputing results. Now, in this country where people are telling us what the law was, not common sense. Remember the Abuja thing? When senior people with grey beard and white hair are talking to authority, how people in Abuja are superior to everybody else. And they are the ones who are voting the president because they are peculiar and special. When even my 12-year-old daughter knows that as far as democracy is concerned, it's one man,
one vote.
So we are about to see things like this. Again, like I said, I will only take a position once the Supreme Court. Because I know a case. He knows the case. The man was already packing his load. The man is now a superstar somewhere in Abuja. So when he was governor-elect, he lost at the, if you remember, I don't want to mention names. He lost at the tribunal. The case was valid. He lost at the appeal. Everybody said this case was. So everybody, he has already packed. He has packed his load when the judgment came in at 5-4. That is the, was legally designated as governor of Rivers State. Governor of that state. That's how it works. So I don't take positions until the Supreme Court have decided.
Let's give it the final decision.
Let me fully say this.
Right.
I think we need to make adjustment to our law. It's very bad that somebody will have been a beneficiary of an election that could still be invalidated after he has spent many months or even more than a year. Why can't we make it that all issues are resolved before people are sworn in? For example, this is your presidential election. You don't need to go and start from the Court of Appeal. The Supreme Court you can start and end at the Supreme Court. The governorship elections dispute, you can start from the Court of Appeal and end it there. You understand? We waste our time. We allow people to become beneficiaries of illegality, and then
and the Court of
then do we tell them, but the court does not tell them to refund all the money, the salaries they've collected, because they were legally, from the points of the law, from the view of perspective of the law, they were never governors.
But you remember that until the Salami case, they were ending everything at the everything gubernatorial ended at
the Court of
Appeal Court. Yeah. It was after the judgments that brought in the Aregbesolas.
Right.
They now decided to take it further to the Supreme Court. Right. So one thing, because those who did the law were very clear. But Nigerian politicians will find a way to drag it wherever they can. No matter because somebody who is obvious, if not met the 25% threshold.
Right.
In 23 states.
People just like to manipulate the polls in the system.
Well, that's where we have to wrap it for today's edition of Journalist Hangout. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for bringing your thoughts to bear on the several topics we discussed today. My guest in the studio has been Gani Kayode Balogun and Paul Dada. Thank you so much. And that's it on Journalist Hangout. Join us again tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can also watch a repeat broadcast of the show tonight at 11. Join us again on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Esther Mokwariola. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
Is a paid presentation by Shopex TV.
Tired of pans that scratch and stick? Or cookware that takes up valuable space in your kitchen and are of little to no use? Cooking used to be fun, but now it just feels like a chore.